Welcome back to the Ripewave audio community. My name is John, and for this video, we continue the Ripewave audio series on home theater amplifiers in 2022. And this time it is Acurus and Aragon from Indie Audio Labs. And this series started back many weeks ago now with the Monolith by Monoprice amplifiers, Emotiva, Tone Winner, Iota VX, Outlaw Audio, ATI Amplifier Technologies, OSD, NAD, Marantz, Yamaha, Onkyo Integra, Rotel, Arcam JBL Synthesis, AudioControl, Anthem, Starke Sound, Parasound, Primare, Wisdom Audio, and this video, the 20th in the series, Acurus and Aragon. Now, these two brands have gone through a little bit of ownership changes over the years, but since 2009, I believe, Indie Audio Labs has been the curators of these brands and have delivered quality products for these brands that started in the 80s. And for this video, we will look at the Acurus M8, the A2002, 2005, and 2007 amplifiers, as well as the Aragon Iridium and Titanium products. And these all range from about $4,500 up to $11,000. So we'll take a look at these, and we're going to start with the Acurus products. And I think the first one here is probably the most targeted at the home theater market, which is the M8. And this particular model, $4,499 list price, was introduced in 2018, and this delivers 200 watts per channel of Class D amplification. Now, looking at this, very nice, clean look, as Acurus always delivers, that modern look, and we like that, and these match pretty well the processor that they put out as well, the Muse and the Act 4. Looking at the back of the M8, we see some things are different. Now, of course, the balanced inputs are certainly quite common in home theater amplifiers. There are no unbalanced connections. What I want to draw your attention to is the outputs. These are all using Phoenix connectors. Now, each one is taking two channels of speakers, so there's a plus and a minus and a plus on those green Phoenix connectors. This is kind of a style that's more of interest to the home theater integrators out there, but certainly it's something that the normal homeowner can use as well. And I'd love to have your comments on the Phoenix style connectors, because this is unique. This is the only product that we've looked at with those types of connectors for the speakers. The other thing that you'll notice on here is they give a lot of options for connectivity, not just the triggers, but there's an RS-232, an Ethernet and USB port on the back of those. And we'll take a look at those a little later on after we introduced all the models and how that Ethernet port is used. But this is the M8. It's their only model that is Class D, and you can fit in a lot of channels into a pretty efficiently packaged unit. Moving on to the A2002. Now, this one is also at $4,499. This is two channels of amplification, 200 watts, but this is Class AB. And the other difference is that this only accepts unbalanced connections, or the RCA connectors, so there's no XLR. Now, the cosmetics of the 2000 series is a little different than the M8. It has this accentuating area in the center there with the half round that goes around the power button. But otherwise, it does look like it's part of the Acurus family. And as a 2002, the 2 stands for 2-channel here. And also has that Ethernet port on the back, which we'll talk about later. Now, as we move through the 2000 series, we next come to the 2005. And this is a $6,099 list product with 5 channels of amplification. Like the 2002, it was introduced in 2011. It is also 200 watts per channel of amplification, but into 5 channels, and is a Class B amplifier like the other one, but much taller to accommodate the 5 channels. And you can see there on the back this large heat sink to dissipate the heat, but also unbalanced connections only on the 2005. And then moving to the last of the 2000 series, the 7-channel 2007, and this sells for $6,499 list. Also introduced in 2011, also 200 watts per channel, but again, the extra channels, 7-channel unit. This looks to be about the same size as the 2005, but with the 2 additional channels. Now on to the Aragon products. And the first one we look at here is the monaural iridium product. It sells for $10,999 list. Introduced in 2012, it's a Class AB design. This is delivering 400 watts into that single channel. And looking at the back of this, this is supporting both balanced and unbalanced connections on this product. Also has that Ethernet and RS-232 connectivity, as we saw on the Acurus products. But the neat thing about this Iridium, being a mono block amplifier, they've decided to create left and right hand versions of these, where the little notch there that they have, which is a very unique industrial design on this product, and that is either on the left hand or the right hand side, but also the Ethernet connectors and so forth swap their locations on the back of the unit. This unit is available in 2 color choices. It's either black or silver with satin anodized. Now the next model up is the titanium. Also sells for $10,990. The next model is the last model we'll look at is the titanium. Now this also sells for $10,999, but delivers 2 channels. Also into the last model we'll look at is the titanium. Now the last model we'll look at is the titanium. This sells for $10,099, just like the iridium, but is a 2-channel product. Is delivering 200 watts per channel into those 2 channels. It is delivering 2 watts of channels of Class AB amplification. And the last model we'll look at is the titanium. Now it also sells for $10,999, but delivers 2 channels of amplification. Also has both unbalanced and balanced connections, and is delivering 200 watts per channel into those 2 channels with Class AB amplification, and was also introduced in 2012. Now, like the iridium, it is available in black or silver with satin anodized finishes. Now, let's take a look at what they're doing with this Ethernet connection. So they do have remote control capabilities, of course, with their triggers and their RS-232 ports. With this Ethernet connection, you can have a monitoring and setup functions on this. So from a web page, you're able to, and this is either with the Acurus or Aragon models, monitor the temperature of each of the amplifiers. Depending on the model, you'll have 1, 2, 5 or 7 channels of amplification in here, and they'll be giving you the temperatures on each of them. When you get into the settings, you'll also be able to determine which channels are active or inactive. You can mute those channels from the interface. With the M8, you'll also have that configuration of the bridgeable channels. And that's one thing I forgot to mention earlier, is with the M8, of the 8 channels that you have on the M8, you can bridge up to 4 pairs of the amplifiers in the M8 with flexibility using this user interface. So this is kind of unique. We don't see web interfaces on amplifiers that often, and I think they've done a nice job of it. I always like the user interfaces that Indie Audio Labs have produced, and this is no exception. Now, looking at these all together, we can see these all fit into the respective families. The Acurus products, you could put these in a rack and they'd all look good together, and the same thing with the Aragon product. Now, the iridium is the only one that has left and right options on where that notch is, and how things are positioned in the back, so that is unique there. But you can see that these do fit in as a family, and the fact that these were released all about the same time, that they were able to do this a lot easier. Now on to the specifications, and we'll recap here that the M8 has balanced connections, whereas the 2000 series, the A2002, 5, and 7 only have RCA unbalanced connections, whereas all the Aragon products offer both balanced and unbalanced connections. So they should take note of that. But the input impedance on the Acurus products is 20 kiloohms for the respective type. When you get to the Aragon, the unbalanced connection on the iridium is 15 kiloohm and 45 kiloohm for the balanced connections. And on the titanium, we get 70 kiloohms for balanced and unbalanced connections. These all have a single trigger input, but then you also have that RS-232 connection on the product as well. The input sensitivity at 8 ohms is 1.5 volts for the M8, 1.42 volts for the A2000 series on the Acurus models, and for Aragon, the iridium is 1.2 volts and titanium is 1.7 volts for the input sensitivity. Now the cost per channel, obviously the M8 is the most affordable at $562, which I think makes this really obtainable for a lot of home theater enthusiasts at that price point. And being Class D amplification, you're going to keep your heat down and be a lighter weight unit as well, and is fully balanced, which is something we like to see, with the good gain of 28.75 decibels. Looking at the other models, the 2000 series is going to range you between $928 per channel for the 7-channel models, up to $2,250 per channel for the 2002, with the 2005 being right in the middle at $1,220. Now, when you work your way up to the Aragon line, for the more discerning listener, you have the titanium comes in at $5,500 per channel, and the iridium, being a monoblock, of course, is its list price of $10,999. Now, as I said, these are all Class AB except for the M8. The gain of the 2000 series are all 29 decibels. The iridium is 28 decibels in their gain. None of these have line outputs, so if you want to send the same signal to multiple amplifiers, you'll have to split them in another way. The power output for each of these models. Now, the Acurus is generally 200 watts per channel into 8 ohms. At 4 ohm loads, they're all 300 watts, except for the M8 goes up to 320 watts, a little bit higher. This is measured across the full frequency of 20 to 20,000 hertz. 0.03% THD for the A2000 series and 0.05% for the M8. So all pretty good, well measured ratings here. The 2000 series is 106 decibels on the signal to noise and 112 decibels on the M8. On the Aragon product, you have the titanium at 200 watts per channel and 8 ohm loads, and 400 watts per channel into 4 ohm loads. Now, as a monoblock, the iridium gives you twice that at 400 watts into 8 ohms and 800 watts into 4 ohms. This is also measured across full frequency, but at 0.02% total harmonic distortion. The titanium gives you 110 decibels signal to noise, whereas the iridium monoblock at 112 decibels. Now, the M8 is the only bridgeable product in this portfolio. You can take those 8 channels in pairs, so you can have up to 4 bridged outputs, or any combination thereof using that web interface. And in bridge mode, it gives you 320 watts into 8 ohms and 320 watts into 4 ohm loads, also measured at the same frequency and THD as when it's not in bridge mode. But this does so at 115 decibels signal to noise ratio. Now, as far as the dimensions, the M8 is the slimmest at 3.5 inches, 89 millimeters. The widths are consistent on the Acurus products, 17 inches, 430 millimeters. The depths are mostly 15 inches, 381 millimeters, but the A2002 is the shallowest at 13.5 inches, 340 millimeters. Getting to the weights of the Acurus models, the M8 is 31 pounds, 15.9 kilograms. The 2002 comes in at the lightest at 29 pounds, 13 kilograms. And then the 2005 and the 2007, which are the deepest units, 15 inches, 380 millimeters, and also the tallest units at 9 inches, 230 millimeters, weigh in at 47 pounds, 21 kilograms for the 5-channel model, and 52 pounds, 24 kilograms for the A2007 7-channel model. The iridium and titanium products from Aragon are roughly the same size, 7 inches for the iridium on its height, 178 millimeters, 19 inches wide, 483 millimeters, and 16 inches deep, 406 millimeters. I show that the titanium may be a little bit shallower on that product, but very close. The weight on the iridium is 63 pounds, 28.6 kilograms, whereas the titanium is just slightly heavier. Now, all of these units have an IEC power cord. They all are available in 120 volt and 240 volt versions, but you have to determine this when you order it because that is only settable at the factory. They're all using toroidal power supplies except for the M8, which is a switch mode power supply, which is pretty common on a Class D amplifier. The titanium not only uses a toroidal power supply, but uses 2 of them. As far as power consumption, of course, the Class D amplifier, no surprise of being the most efficient at 200 watt consumption. The A2000 series is 1200 watts of peak consumption, 1 watt in standby. The Aragon products are 1500 watts of peak, 1 watt in standby. The only product we have a slew rate rating for is the iridium product at 240 volts per microsecond. Dampening factors vary a little bit. The M8 is 1000 versus the A2000 series, which is half of that at 500. The iridium has a damping factor of 200 and the titanium 400. There are no fans that we are aware of in these units. So that wraps it up with Indie Audio Labs with their Acurus and Aragon products. So what do you think? they're always doing something a little different in this company. The web setup or the monaural amplifier with the left and right configurations. You have the M8 with the Phoenix style speaker connections. So what do you think about those unique features? And there was one thing I neglected to mention earlier. The A2000 series are all THX Ultra 2 listed. So we don't see a lot of THX listings anymore in the marketplace. So if that's of interest of you, maybe the Acurus A2000 series is one you want to look at. So if you have comments on any of these, the Acurus or the Aragon, now obviously the Acurus and Aragon are at two different price points. Which price point do you see yourself in? You fit in better with the Acurus price positioning, or the Aragon where you're looking for that much more in your amplifier? That feedback would be useful to the RightWave audio community. And if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And if you want to take it to that next level, be sure to go to www.patreon.com/RightWave and consider being a Patreon. And that contribution from you would be very helpful for us to grow the channel and bring you more quality content. And of course, you get something back in return, which is access to our database, through our spreadsheets, through the PowerPoint presentations, which are downloadable to you as a Patreon member. And of course, you can always hit that bell icon so you'll be notified when the next video is posted. Until then, keep evolving your audio experience.